Welcome to the Seniors Flourish podcast, where it's all about helping occupational therapy practitioners disrupt the norm by throwing away the rainbow art and being the best you can be when working with older adults.
You know when you have those patients that don't want to put up handrails on the stairs or outside the house because they're afraid it'll make the house look ugly or make the patient look, quote, old? Well, I found these handrails from Promenaid that are super stylish, come in all sorts of finishes and colors to match any type of house. I like that they're super adjustable and you can literally put them anywhere, even those funky corners where the patient needs something but nothing ever quite fits. They ship quick and be installed right away, so we can adapt the home to what our patient needs fast, which is our number one priority. Check them out at promenaid.com, Promenaid.com. Welcome everyone to the Seniors Flourish podcast and the Speaking of OT Between-isode. I'm Maddie Chamberlain.
And I'm Sarah Stromsdorfer, and we're occupational therapists. And today we're talking about the benefits of online media for occupational therapy professional development.
I love this topic. Well, a couple things. Like I presented on this topic at the Colorado State Association a couple years ago, just because I feel like it's such an emerging area of OT and how we can use it to enhance our professional development. And so many of us are online, and it's funny how many people actually don't really realize all the benefits and all the different areas that we can use social media and just like being online. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun topic to talk about. Don't you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited because it's such a new thing too. And overall, same with kind of the internet, like my CIs, a lot of them didn't have social media when they were a new grad. They didn't have Pinterest. They didn't have Facebook to ask for ideas. And so it's a really exciting
Yeah, just a new kind of area. Well, it's funny you actually say that because like I'm technically what do they call them? Exennials. You know, the exennials. So you're not like, I'm not, because I was born, I think they say it's like between 1978 and 1982 or 3. It's kind of loose. It's kind of a loose age, but it's like I'm not technically a Gen Xer, but I'm not technically a Generation Y millennial because like I grew up without the internet. Like we didn't have really the internet. I remember the first time they had the internet and using like DOS and Turtles and like Oregon Trail. Like,
and the AOL CDs that would come to you in the mail. I remember that as a kid. That's so crazy how far we've come with high-speed internet.
I know. And that's why, the whole Facebook thing or even like podcasts, most of the people that listen to podcasts, they say it's a younger generation. And I was just reading something, how they're talking about like, right now it's like the average age is like 18 to 35. And so, but they're thinking it's growing so rapidly. And so they're just talking about how, same with Facebook. I mean, there's no Facebook that, like you said, no Pinterest. Like, it's not like you could like Google something and say like, oh, I need some treatment ideas on this. So it's such like a whole new world to kind of like expand upon OT. And I think it's such a neat thing and such a neat resource. Because one, you have to be able to dig through the resources, right? Because there's a lot of junk out there too. But I don't know. I mean, like just kind of getting into that. I love podcasts. Obviously, I love podcasts. And as I'm quote a podcaster now, Sarah, you were kind of like, you're a podcaster now too.
I'm like a little newbie podcaster, but I am such a lover of podcasts as well.
What kind of podcasts do you like? Like, not like necessarily OT, but like what kind of podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to probably too many I call them nerdy podcasts, like business development podcasts. My favorite one right now is actually called The RV Entrepreneur. And it's a husband and wife named Heath and Alyssa Paget. And they live in this giant Winnebago RV and they travel the country and they have their own podcast, obviously. And then they also have a website and they interview entrepreneurs that also live in RVs and live on the road. So it makes me really excited to listen to them.
Well, you are going on your RV adventure.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So
tentatively 3 more weeks.
You can maybe get on the show.
I was thinking about that. I was listening to him interview some person the other week. I'm like, I wonder if I emailed Heath after I am officially full-time RV living and if he would interview me about my OT spot. I'd be so excited.
You're such a fan.
I am.
Oh,
what is
fun, though.
Yeah. What is your favorite non-OT podcast?
Oh, I kind of am on the like serial bandwagon. Like, I feel like I'm the same way. I love like business podcasts, and I love like the ones that tell. It's funny because like in general, I'm not like that person that watches like murder mysteries, or I don't know. It's just kind of not my thing. But someone's like, you have to listen to Serial. I'm like, okay, everyone else is like, I should, check it out. And I'm like, holy moly. I like binge listen to it because I was like behind. Like, I
the
kind of
first
like
season.
I kind of was late to the,
So good.
Yeah, so good. That one, and the first season of Serial, and then S-Town. It's all kind of about the same people. Oh, have you listened to that one?
Yes, S-Town is so good. Yeah, everyone who's listening who has not listened to S-Town, please download it right now. You won't be able to stop listening.
You can't stop listening. You feel like, oh my gosh, why am I listening to this? But the thing of it is, and I've actually really tried. So if anybody knows of any podcasts that go along the same lines, but I think what I really like about it is it's like a story, and you feel like you're in the story because it's kind of like they're recording an
like
story, live interviews,
action.
And they're like finding new things out and you get to hear about it as they find it out. So it feels like almost weirdly like a reality TV show, but not at all, because it's exciting and there's like, it's a story and it's intriguing. And so, yes, if you haven't listened to Serial, I feel like everybody in the world has listened to Serial, but if you haven't, listen to Serial, like as in Serial.
Like serial killer, not cereal.
Yeah. Well, because it's funny because the first time people like Serial, I'm like, what the heck is that about? Because I didn't think of Serial. Yeah. So anyway, Serial and S-Town are kind of, the ones that you're like, okay, if you're new to podcasts, you have to listen to those.
And I also, last thing I do have to say, my coworkers lately this week have been telling me I have to get into My Favorite Murder. So another one. Really good.
Everybody says that one too. I haven't either. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing. People are like, even if you're really not into that, like you still are going to love it. I'm like, okay, it's on the list. I got to get driving. I like to do them when I'm driving, but okay. Now that we figured out important podcasts for everyone to download, I think, thinking about just online technology and media and things like that, I was kind of like doing some research on it. And it was talking about how people are on social media and online media. So online media includes like podcasting and things like that. So not just Facebook or Twitter and those kinds of things. Over 3 billion users a day. Isn't that insane? I mean, I guess if you think about how many people are in the world, but it just felt like such an insanely large number to me. But, it's just talking about how we use it. So I think the thing that I always find super interesting is that, like, how can we use social media and the advancement of technology to our benefit, like professionally? And so like things like, okay, let's start with just like Facebook. Sarah, you have a Facebook group. So
I do, yes.
Yeah. Well, talk about how a Facebook group works and how Facebook groups, I don't know, maybe like how they can be beneficial.
Yeah, I really like having a My OT Spot Facebook group so I can connect with people that are reading the blog, because with email, I think it almost seems like it takes a little bit more time to email someone personally. But when you have a Facebook group, you can just ask a question and thousands of people can see your question and answer it. And it's a really nice way not only to connect, but to get feedback from so many other occupational therapists and students and CODAs. And I really just love having my own platform versus sometimes the other occupational therapy groups. They just seem so large and overwhelming. So my goal is to kind of keep mine a little bit smaller. It just feels a little bit more, just easier to reach other people without having your question get bogged down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's such a so in general, like if you are new and are not part of like Facebook groups, you can basically, if you go into Facebook, it says at the top, like groups, and you can search and you can like literally any topic or area of occupational therapy there's a lot of different areas of occupational therapy Facebook groups. So anything from geriatrics, obviously those are the ones I'm interested in, to, there's pediatrics, acute care, specifically home health care, women's health, but a lot of them are through it's 4, like the number 4 OT. So it'd be like Geriatric for OT or Women's Health for OT. So it's a group, an international group that put these 4 OT groups together as a way to connect and have people, honestly, like, it's not even, it's about like celebrating the things that are amazing about your job and then also having a group of people that understand the difficulties of your job or sharing the resources out there or just having that group support. And I think that's such a unique way to connect with people like internationally. And I think that's, I don't know, I think that for me, that's part of the fun. Or even just like, across the country, people are like, I'm kind of looking for a job here, and people like can connect you with people, or it's just a crazy, amazing way to connect. But I agree. Some of those get really, really big. And I think sometimes get intimidated. So you just kind of like snoop around and see what the info is and like don't participate. But I think once you kind of see like some of the people feel like they get to know each other through these Facebook groups because also you see a face and a name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's nice about yours. Like you feel like you said you have people that connect. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to connect especially when you go to conference, you can plan ahead of time in the Facebook group. Oh, I'm going to be here at the conference. Let's meet up. And then you already kind of feel like you know the person because you see their face versus when I get emails, it's a lot harder for me to kind of connect with the person because I don't know what they look like or anything. And it's just more.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so funny because it's not like, just like seeing them. I don't know if it's like this visualization that you feel like you can know them.
Need like the visual as humans. Maybe we just need that visual.
Yeah.
Input.
Yeah. But it's such a neat way to connect and have professional growth through Facebook. So that's how, I typically use Facebook in addition to like, my Seniors Flourish like business page. And I have a Learning Lab private Facebook group for Learning Lab members to, bounce ideas off of. And I do like Facebook Lives and we connect and answer each other's questions and stuff that way too. So it's like you can kind of like find your OT people and connect in such a neat way. So Facebook, that's like, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of different social media things. So that's the first one, Facebook, right? Okay. So number 2, Twitter. Are you a big Tweeter?
So full confession, I actually have never used Twitter. I think I maybe used it or I tried to use it like 10 years ago. And my husband just gets on me. He's like, you need to be on Twitter. I get a lot of news that way. And you can just catch up with current events. But I just, for some reason, it's just been a barrier. I don't know. I haven't been into it, but a lot of people still use it. I guess our president seems to love it. So I guess.
That's true. How else are you going to know about Kanye West rants? I know. How are you supposed to be up to date on these? No, I'm a medium. I wouldn't say it's my favorite platform. I use it for Seniors Flourish. I think one of the best things the thing about it is like if you really get into it, you can have like really good conversation because you can have these tweets. So someone posts something essentially, and you can really easily respond, and you can really easily go back and forth. It's just like a simpler way, but I feel like you can really have good. I've seen such people like develop such good relationships. Yeah. It just is just a different platform, a different way of doing it. But the other thing, so looking at it like from an OT professional development standpoint, there is a UK based, they do a Twitter chat and it's OT Talk. And then we have one in the US called OT Talk to US. So they use the hashtag, like ours in the US is on the first Sunday night of the month at 5:00 Mountain Time. So I'm not sure. And you have technically like a host. So I am going to be hosting the next OT Talk to US Twitter chat the first the first Sunday in August here. And I'm going to be talking about keeping occupation in occupational therapy, which is
that's exciting.
It's a passion topic of mine. But it's really cool because a lot of universities will use Twitter to have conversations and connect with other OTs through school or different courses. But with the Twitter chat, how it basically is you present a question and then people answer, and it just starts this flurry of conversation. And so then as the host, after you have all this conversation, people start sharing resources, and then you present the next question of that topic. And so then it's conversation. It's like being in a conference almost, and everybody can comment on each other's comments. And it's just this world. It's like a whirlwind of information, but at the end also is like, so you do it for about an hour, and usually the host, it depends on the person who's doing it, but it can be like 5 questions. But at the end you can see the Twitter, the transcripts and things like that. So you can see the whole line of conversation. But it's such a neat way because you kind of do the same type of thing. You start the conversation and everybody's like, hey, I'm here from here, and I work in acute care, or I work here, or I'm a student, or whatever. And then it's just like such a neat, because you're all there for one topic. And so it's just like this flurry of awesome information. So if you haven't done or are on Twitter, OT Talk to US. So with that hashtag, first time doing a Twitter chat, you're kind of like, what the heck? Because it goes so fast. But once you kind of get the hang of how the whole thing works, they're really fun and they're super informative because, it's all sorts of topics. Like I said, they do one every month. And so Allison Sullivan and Tina Champagne kind of run that, get all the people together and organize it. And it's just really fun because it's like every type of, you have people from AOTA, like Amy Lamb's hosted. And then you have people like from pediatrics or mental health or, Jerry, like just the whole realm. And they really try to pull in a lot of different areas. So it's a really unique way.
That's the
first Sunday of the month.
The first Sunday of the month.
And it's at 5:00 Mountain. Yeah. So I'll put all this information in the show notes, but it's like just another kind of neat way to connect with other OTs in all sorts of areas. And you don't even have to be from the US. Like, ours is just that because of the timing, because the UK one, the time, because of the time difference, there wasn't a lot of people. So they decided, I think, my original hearing, or what I heard originally, is they were just like, we could do our own just because of the time difference. So we could do something similar. So it's really super cool. Super cool. I love them. I do really like them because it's like, and the number of people that are so knowledgeable in those, the Twitter chats are.
Yeah, I had no idea that was like a whole universe. I thought Twitter was just people like writing a few sentences. I had no idea. So I think I'll have to make a Twitter today.
Yeah, well, that's why, your Twitter account. You're twittering. My husband's always like, what are you doing over there, tweeting? And I'm like, oh my God, you sound like a Gen Xer, maybe because he is. But yeah, okay, so Twitter, that was the next one. Okay, and then Instagram. I use Instagram. Do you use Instagram at all?
Yeah, I use it, but I kind of keep my Instagram. I don't really have it I don't have it relevant to OT, basically. That's my one social media. Yeah, it's like I have it as just kind of like a fun personal one. It's not like personal, private, but just because I feel like Facebook, now that I manage the group and everything, it's kind of made it not as like fun. I feel like more it's kind of like work sometimes. So with Instagram, I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep that just fun and personal. So it's Sarah Storm Dancer if you want to just see random pictures of my dog.
Well, you have to kind of pick and choose. That's why, like I said, I'm not a big Twitterer. I don't even know what the right word is, but I don't use Twitter that much because, when you start doing social media and getting online, and it's like there's a billion ones that you can use, and so it's like trying to figure out what works for you, how you can connect with your audience the best, and or how do you feel like you can connect with other professionals the best. So I like I said, I like the Twitter chats, and that's kind of basically the only thing I really use Twitter for. But I really like the Facebook Facebook groups. But Instagram, I use Instagram. It's funny because I was like, originally, it's like, I don't even have a personal Instagram. Like I was just like, maybe I should be on Instagram because people are like, that's just, where everybody's kind of hanging out. And I love it. I love it because I feel like I can share a lot of treatment ideas. And you get to see, it's part of it is not even just like treatment ideas because it's all about pictures, right? Posting pictures. And I fully admit I'm a terrible like selfie taker. Like I'm not very good about taking pictures of myself.
Yeah, same.
So, I'm not very good about that. But I think it's important and it's really fun when I do post a picture of myself, like doing something OT, like I feel like I do get to connect with followers. And then the people that I follow, I actually really love seeing pictures of them. So I'm like, oh, okay, I need to start doing a little bit more pictures of me in my day-to-day work and things like that. But it's such a neat way. I mean, I think they're all kind of neat in their own ways, but like you get to share those treatment ideas. You get to create conversation and get to know people through pictures.
And the stories too. The stories are like blogging.
Yeah.
I love watching people's stories, just random people I haven't seen in forever. Like, oh, wow, they live here in New York and they're having a great meal. Like, I just love watching that kind of thing.
It's so funny because I'm always like, oh, this is so not exciting. But like, I love seeing the people in other places. Like where, what are they doing? What are they living? What are they doing? And now they have Instagram TVs. And so I'm trying to figure out, do people like Instagram TV better than like Instagram lives? Because you can do Instagram
I didn't know about
lives
Instagram TV.
Oh, Sarah,
I'm so behind.
Instagram.
I know, with my weekly post of my dog on the couch.
No, but it is true. I think, and it's a neat way to, see what OT looks like in different areas or different settings or different, like, honestly, parts of the world. Like there's a lot of people from Indonesia and, the Philippines and like OTs. I'm trying to think of other places that have reached out, places in South America, like Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Iran, some of the Middle Eastern countries, OTs. And I love to see their pictures because I think it's so amazingly fascinating. Just because I love travel and culture and things like that. But also like, what does OT look like in other parts of the world is very, very intriguing to me. So I just think that's another kind of a neat way to just like open your horizons to what OT looks like. Cause it does look like different. It looks different in different places. So
it is. It is so different. Instagram. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. The pictures of life. It's so intriguing. I think we're just naturally nosy people, like, curious, like we're supposed to be as OTs, right? Like you want to know about routines and habits and all those little things, right? So yeah. I just like to say that maybe it's just ingrained in me professionally, but I might just like be intrigued anyway.
Yeah. I think we all love it.
I know we all love it.
So Pinterest, you actually told me about Pinterest a couple of years ago. I never really used it until you told me about it. And now I'm obsessed with it.
I know.
So you love it. I love it. I think a lot of OTs love it because it just, again, it kind of ties into that visual aspect of their just really great pictures of treatment ideas and people and recipes.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I think what people think of Pinterest, they think of like, ooh, what kind of outfit can I organize? Or what should I be making for dinner tonight? Except I did just see a really sweet, like brie apple cranberry, like grilled cheese like sandwich yesterday. And I'm like trying to look at like treatment idea stuff or whatever. And I was like, dang it, now I have to make a grilled cheese sandwich because it just like propagates like what the things that you're interested in. Yeah, it's like outfits, like travel, and then it's like cooking, and then it's like OT. Like it's this big mine's like this big mesh of basically those things and some like kind of crafty stuff when I feel motivated, but my kids keep me busy. So, but anyway, it's like those are the things. But yeah, I mean, like Pinterest is like the same type of thing where you can like find those resources, find treatment ideas, find professional, like, I have found everything from like NBCOT, like exam prep stuff to just like, treatment ideas that I share. I mean, I share lots of treatment ideas from like my website and that kind of thing, to, I'm trying to think of other things like OT development or professional development wise, just like topics across and the thing about it is I like about like Pinterest and same with YouTube and those kinds of things. Like, it doesn't honestly always have to be just OT, but like looking at what are some other, disciplines that we work with and how can we integrate some of those things into our own practice or current events or current like topics. And that's why podcasts I think are fun too, because you can see, there's lots of podcasts that might be relevant to OT that aren't necessarily OT podcasts.
And sometimes you don't really think about, like, if I Google a topic, I'll just get that exact topic, but on Pinterest or on podcasts, maybe some topic will come up that I didn't even think to look, and I see it. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I learn something new from something related to OT. Like maybe it'll be a PT blog post. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that type of intervention for strokes or something like that.
Right. I know. Or it's like, taking some of those same principles and like figuring out how can I put an OT twist on it to make it like occupation based or functional or client centered or whatever it may be. I mean, and that's the same thing with like podcasts. Like, obviously I'm a podcast, I'm biased, but I feel like it's such a neat way to be able to like learn some research or current events or, even like, so there's lots of like OT podcasts, right? On the Air, Glass Half Full, OT Schoolhouse. I don't really know any other pediatric ones besides OT Schoolhouse because that's not my, obviously area of expertise. But there's even non-OT that are like health. There's lots of healthcare ones that are really applicable or mental health ones that are applicable or, Joy Energy Time. She is an OT that podcasts about burnout or I'm trying to think like MDT. There's like all these ones. Rusk Rehab has their own podcast. Yeah. So, it's those kinds of things that are really kind of neat because like, even things like TED Talks. How many things have you learned on TED Talk? Maybe you don't listen.
I love TED Talks. That's another one. TED Radio Hour is another podcast to listen to.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many things that are so applicable. But yeah, TED Radio Hour, that's also a really good one. And there's some of them are like super short. Like if you even, go to their website, you can say like, I have 10 minutes. And then they'll match you up with the podcasts or the episodes talks that are only like 10 minutes or I have an hour and then they'll match you up with the ones that have hours. So I love that too, because
when you're crunched for time, you want to learn something real quick.
I know. Yeah, exactly. But, in general, I think, the thing about social media and like using the internet for professional development is there's actually a lot of ways for us to find the resources. It's not going to be like the answer to everything. There's, obviously journals that we need to be reading. We have to look at the current research, but I'm just talking about like being able to sift through and find things that are applicable that get your creative juices going or get you excited about OT.
Absolutely.
Like, and I think it just connects us with OTs in the world. It's bigger than just your clinical area or your hospital that you're working in or just your coworkers. So those are the things that I really, really love about it. So I don't know. I think it's just fun too.
It is fun. And just to end on that note, while social media and podcasts and YouTube and everything is really fun for your mental health, don't get too sucked in for hours at a time because I used to have that problem. I actually deleted my Facebook app on my phone and changed my password. So now I can only get into it on my computer. And that's really helped my just compulsive checking a little bit.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic.
Everything in moderation, everyone.
Well, people talk about your neck issues or like thumb issues. There's like, that's a whole nother topic, but exactly. It can suck you in, but yeah, it's, I think if you're using it, like you said, smartly in a smart way, like you are, or even, like having a purpose for it, how can I learn something from it? If you feel like you're getting sucked in and you need a concrete reason, but that's really cool. So everyone, I mean, like, check out some of these resources. I'm going to put a bunch of these in the show notes so you can like explore and see what would be a good fit for you to kind of work on your OT professional development through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or podcasts or, I mean, Pinterest, YouTube. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can find and connect with people and find some resources and rejuvenate the love of OT. So,
and let us know in the comments your favorite OT podcast, your favorite OT Facebook groups, Pinterest accounts, also your favorite non-OT podcast. We'd love to hear in the
yes. Perfect ending. And so, yeah, check out the show notes, give us some comments, and we'll talk to you soon. So thanks everyone for listening.
Bye.
Do you feel like you're navigating the OT world without a map? Not feeling confident or competent in your day-to-day treatments and struggling to apply your knowledge clinically? Then be sure to check out the Seniors Flourish Learning Lab membership. It has all of the treatment ideas, patient handouts, clinical resources, community support, and mentorship you need to succeed. Join today at seniorsflourish.com/learninglab.